Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm Mark,
I'm Rob.
and today we're going to talk about the WNBA playoffs and the Indiana Fever and what their chances are with having Coach Sides as a momentum killer. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next videos. And if you like the WNBA playoffs, subscribe to our channel. If you like Caitlin Clark, subscribe to our channel. If you like football, subscribe to our channel. I've given you enough reasons, just subscribe.
Yeah.
Anyways, Rob, the playoffs start today. The NBA had a nice promotion about, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago or something. I can't remember, but they put it on their TV promotions when the NBA playoffs started, and they said NBA playoffs where legends are born. So I think that's a great phrase. And really, that's what happened. That's how really the NBA players established their legacy, especially with the emphasis on titles in the NBA, because that's really the only sport other than quarterbacks and football where championships, they have a real chance of having a great influence on a championship. So I thought
Right.
that was a great promo.
hmm
And that's part of what's all about today. Caitlin Clark's legacy starts today,
Yep.
really, in my opinion, and what she can do in the playoffs. Because first of
Sure
all,
does. It sure does.
because there's already a knock on her for not getting a championship, which I maintain was a silly one in college. And in fact, I guess she didn't win a state title in high school either, but she did win some gold medals with the U.S. team. So I think this is a big deal for her legacy. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I think, this is definitely a legacy for Caitlin Clark. I mean, this is a time to shine. She's used to being in the limelight and in the pressure. So we'll see how she handles it. I think it's really, it's going to be great for the league. And I'll make an early prediction in that I think the Fever have a chance to win the series.
Well, they definitely have a chance. I just wouldn't make it more than 50%. And I
Yeah.
think they're going to win one game. I just don't have a lot of confidence in Coach Sides coaching them to 2 victories over 3 over a team that's better than them. And by just for clarification purposes, I know it seems early to talk about Caitlin Clark's legacy in the playoffs and stuff like that. But when you're a generational player, I don't think it's ever too early because the playoffs really determine your legacy in the WNBA, just as I just went over a minute ago. So it's just so I clarify that. So, Rob, Coach Sides all year long has had problems knowing when to call timeouts. And someone in our thread, in our live streaming at the last game of the regular season, called Coach Sides a momentum killer. And I
Mhm.
thought that was a great term. So I stole that for our thumbnail. And talk about that, Rob. Tell us why you think she's a momentum killer.
Yeah, she definitely is. I mean, this is the last game. I mean, they were out in the lead there. They had a nice lead, and then all of a sudden, she put in the sub players that haven't played much during the year, and then the score got down to almost even in the first quarter. And it
Yeah, well,
seems like it's just like, what are you
but she
doing?
put all of them in, Rob, instead of like gradually work them in. She had like 4 of them in, and it's just like, really? What's the hurry? You got 40-minute game.
Yeah. Also, during the season, she'll do that. I mean, she'll do it like in the third quarter, whatever. She'll put someone in, or she'll change her game plan. Her game plan usually starts out, you see in the first half, where they're pushing the ball up the court, which they should do. Then all of a sudden, you time out or whatever happens, the quarter ends, and they turn into the slow ball dinosaur ball. You're like, wait a minute, why are you going to dinosaur ball when that was the best thing for you? So that right there just kills momentum, and you can see it on the players, how frustrating it is, especially with Caitlin Clark, who wants to go, go, go. And the players have gotten used to that now. So they're like, okay, she's got the ball. We can run and she'll hit us with a pass.
Yeah, I don't think they should ever go to dinosaur ball. She wants to go to it all the time. I think there's a constant friction between Caitlin Clark and Coach Sides about that. And I think the other players also enjoy. Sometimes they get some easy layups because Caitlin Clark throws a perfect pass to them. Who doesn't
Right.
like an easy layup? I mean, they miss them half the time, but it's
Yeah.
still an easy shot. So, Coach Sides. So the number one complaint that people have, and I think it's a valid complaint, she doesn't seem to know when to call a timeout, and she does it too late. Generally what happens. And like the last game, they went on an 18-4 run, and she never called a timeout. But she's done that several times. She waits till the other team scores like 14 straight, when another coach would have called it after 8 straight.
Right.
In the same situation. And then she has timeouts left at the end of the game. What good does that do her?
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. I very rarely had timeouts. I mean, I always have that one near the end, but what's used to having a timeout. And then also we can switch to also her scheme of defense, which is non-existent for shooting, guarding the three-pointer. Their outside defense guarding the three-pointer is abysmal. It's horrible. I don't know what. I mean, the one game we watched together, a couple of games we watched together, where the person's wide open in the corner. I mean, wide open. I mean, like at least 10. No one within 10 feet of her. I'm like, how can that happen?
Yeah, I'm tired of talking about it. And
No, you are.
Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark are two of the worst culprits. So, but it's not just them. It's a lot of times they don't rotate properly. They don't communicate properly. They're not in defensive positions properly. And they think they can play defense from 15 feet away and then just kind of close in when the 3-point shot goes up. And it's easy. I know. I didn't play basketball, but I talked to basketball players. They said they practice shots, shooting it when a person's approaching them and stuff like that. If someone's right on them, they can jump up higher because they don't have to go forward with their momentum and their positioning. And now they have to shoot higher off them, and that's a harder shot. Only Kelsey, that won't affect Kelsey Mitchell because she puts a huge arc on it. But for most players, it affects their arc, which affects their accuracy.
Yeah, they think just putting a hand up. I mean, that would be their thing if they came over to me. I go, why aren't you guarding the person out there? Well, I put my hand up. I go, what do you do? Put your hand up to say nice shot?
Right.
Why don't you shake her hand after? Hey, that's a nice shot.
I think it was Rebecca Lobo. Caitlin Clark didn't put her hand up and just was kind of move forward. She says, you don't play defense with your eyes. Right.
Exactly. You watch the ball. Ooh, that was a nice shot. Wow.
Yeah. And sometimes they have a hot player, and the player covering them is not a good defensive player, and she's too slow to substitute person. Now, Hall's starting now, but before, and people like Hall and Temi, putting them in earlier in the game to try to slow down this hot player. And she's never done that almost the entire year. Like, she can't figure out to do that. That's why people are upset about Celeste Taylor being cut, even though it's not a big deal. She probably would have never got a lot of minutes. But in a situation like that, you put like a really good defensive player on them, it might slow them down. We have several times this year, Jewel Lloyd was shooting poorly all year, and she had the best game of the year up to that point, at least, against the Fever. And they didn't have anyone to stop her. And it's happened. Kelsey Plum had like her best game of the year against Fever, and other players have had that. This happened.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of other players have had their best games against her because she doesn't do any scheme for changing her defense at all. No double. Everybody in the world double teams Caitlin Clark or picks her up at 94 feet when she gets the ball. The Fever don't do that. They don't. They just bring them. So that's why the team's like, oh, this is cool. I just bring the ball up, run my offense, or move it around, and then I can shoot the ball, and we score.
If Enrique gets hot,
yeah.
If Enrique gets hot, you should double team her. You know how hot she can get. But they double team her. They double team in the post and then leave open the 3-point shot. Sorry, that's not working. It's just not working. And Rob, you pointed out several times, why don't you switch to zone once in a while when a player's hot or when their offense is the other team's offense is just clicking in general because they have good ball movement and things like that. Well, that changes everything around. And again, Rob, you coached, right? And so
yes.
I asked you this before. I'm going to ask you again. Is calling a timeout a difficult skill for a coach?
No. Right? I mean, it's not.
Like I said, I didn't coach basketball, but I was captain, and we don't have coaches in Ultimate Frisbee. And I was captain. I thought that was one of the easiest responsibilities I had as a captain / coach was to call a timeout. It's like if you're an experienced player, you can figure it out. That's what
you start the game out. So you start the game at 0-0. The team hits 8 straight points. You got to call timeout. If you let it go, like, oh well, I'll wait till after they score 10 or 12. No, they score 8 straight points. You haven't scored a point. There's something wrong. You got to adjust. You got to adjust your game or whatever.
She's done other things where, like, a player's hot, like a player off the bench comes in and hit like 3 shots at 3 and doesn't put him back in again for 2 quarters, or a player's not hot, she doesn't take her out ever, and she doesn't seem to have the logic behind when a player's hot and not hot, and then she sets up plays for someone who's 1 for 8 as opposed to someone who's 4 for 8 from threes, and also it's so many things that she does is mind-boggling.
Like I said, the out of bounds plays. I always practice sideline out of bounds. I mean, and underneath plays, because I want all my plays are to score, not just to inbound the ball. My out of bounds plays were designed to score, and that's what you try. That's what the out of bounds play is, not just the the person comes out and catch the ball and you're on the offense. No, I designed it so they score a basket. We want to score a basket off our inbound.
For some reason, the Achilles heel for the Indiana Fever has been for most of the year the third quarter. They come out poorly. And I have no idea what's going on in the locker room during halftime, but she's the worst motivational coach at halftime in the history of sports, as far as I can tell. And at game adjustments, there must be poor game adjustments too, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why, unfortunately, she got them into the playoffs, and she'll be there next year. But maybe we'll see what happens in the first half. If they don't perform the way it's supposed to, maybe they'll get rid of her. But unfortunately, she's going to be there for a while. I think probably definitely the next year. They're not going to get rid of her.
Right. And I'll repeat what I said before when we did their preview for the playoffs. I think they have the ability to win the whole thing. I just don't think the chances are very likely. I don't think they have the best team, and they have the worst coach that's in the playoffs. So that's a big disadvantage. Forget about the home court advantage, because that doesn't make a difference to the Indiana Fever. I think playoff experience is overrated, but I think it's a factor, but I don't think it's as important as the announcers make it out to be, because they need something to talk about.
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a whole new season, but I think the main factor, especially with the Fever, the main factor in the game is the players. Yeah, but it comes down to coaching. Sometimes how you're going to coach this team and how you adjust to the team. If you've seen this team play before, you look at the film, you go over and practice what you're supposed to do. Have fun in practice. That's fine. But the bottom line is, you want to win the game. I'm not. That's me. I like to win. I'm the poorest loser in the world. I've learned through the years coaching not to show it to my players. But I mean, I'm like, oh, great game. You put other team. Oh, good game. But when I turn around, I'm like, Raga, I hate losing this game. Raga, I hate losing.
Well, let me ask you another question, Rob. All right. So in the NBA, the playoffs become more physical. Now, they controlled that over the last 40 years because they put in the flagrant 1 and flagrant 2, so it didn't get out of control. So in the WNBA, which is already in the regular season more physical than the NBA, I'm assuming it's going to get more physical. So how would you coach differently, Rob, knowing that it might get a little bit more physical?
Well, if they're going to allow physical, that's my advantage of defense. I'm going to say my players play them a little closer, body them up a little closer, especially the scorer. I got the scorer out here in the guard. I want you to play up on her, force her to her left, double team her, get the ball out of her hands. Play up on your player and force them to drive the ball. I mean, not too many WNBA players can dribble off the dribble. Force them to drive, and you get your help, and then you can run out the clock if you play good half court defense. Yeah, I would definitely play a little. That's the way the Aces did against the Fever, but then the Fever tried to do it against them, and then the Aces didn't get called for fouls, but they
right. So that's a good. We covered that in another video where we said I think they're going to be at a disadvantage because it is going to get more physical, and they're not going to get as many calls as their opponents. I just know that's going to happen, but maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But like I said, it's 3/4 of the time they seem to be in the short end of the stick in calls. Maybe I'm delusional, but I don't think so. So I am concerned about that. In fact, it's going to be more physical, and that's going to benefit the team that gets away with the physicality, which is going to be the other team. So I guess that's what's going to happen with Caitlin Clark, and she's going to have to keep her composure in terms of the physicality, because I think it's going to be back to what it's like earlier in the year, where they get away with clutching and grabbing and holding Caitlin Clark and fouling her when she drives to the basket and she doesn't get a call.
Right, exactly. That's what's going to happen. So she's going to have to adjust. Near the end of the year, she was getting a little frustrated, but now, like I said, it's a new season. She's got to focus in on her game and shoot more. She has to shoot more, Mark. She has to shoot more.
And yeah, I think they're the hardest team in the league to defend when they're playing up-tempo basketball. So that's why they have a small chance to win the whole thing. I just think they have so many obstacles in front of them. I'd like to see them do it. I don't think it's likely this year. And Rob, in the NBA, we've seen there's a trend throughout history where teams lose, and I don't know, in this second round, sometimes the conference finals, they're a young team and they just weren't ready yet. So in that case, you can argue, yeah, that playoff experience is important, but they don't have any of that kind of experience where they learn to win close games and stuff like that. They're not good at winning close games. They've been better since the Olympic break, but they've lost a lot of close games that they blew leads and stuff like that. So I'm concerned about it.
Like you said, the many obstacles, and the main obstacle is the coach, which is really sad. It should be something else besides the coach.
Right. So we'll see what happens. Playoff experience is, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying it could be a factor in this one, but maybe not as big a factor as some people think. That's all I'm saying. But we'll find out. We'll find out. Like, Caitlin Clark had a lot of big games in college. I don't think the pressure is going to affect her.
No.
I think it's some of the other players. But the advantage is that some of these players went to big universities and they had some big games, like Leah Boston and stuff like that. Had some big games. So she's probably used to the pressure. Kelsey Missel's never been in the playoffs before. But she seems like a baller, Rob. I think she'll be okay.
So we'll see this afternoon.
Okay, yeah. So join us this afternoon. It's at 3 o'clock. Rob has to work, but I'll be doing the streaming. And it's on ABC. And then join us also on Wednesday at 7:30. Rob and I will both be there. And that's on ESPN. So join us live for that. I'm really looking forward to the playoffs. So I think the ratings will be really high. I'm not sure about Sunday because of the competition from football.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think the ratings will be really high, and Caitlin Clark has a chance to start her legacy. Let's put it this way. I'm not saying this is going to determine her legacy. It's just to start her legacy. I really like the concept that NBA started with the playoffs where legends are born, because you really make a big name for yourself. All the eyes are on you, and the stakes are highest. So what could be better than that?
Right.
So anyways, we'll talk about the game on our live show, which is every Monday except for major holidays, 6 to 8 Eastern time. Please join us for that. You can call in and talk about it. And we'll talk about the football games this weekend. And if you like this video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for? If you like the playoffs, subscribe to our channel. If you like football, subscribe to our channel. And if you like Rob's Cleveland Browns, subscribe to our channel.
Or the Mets. The Mets. The Mets are in there, baby. New York Mets.
We don't do baseball here. Football and basketball, Rob.
Oh.
And if you want to donate to our channel, you can with super chats and super thanks down below. And there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.